Hello, Broadway Besties, and welcome to From the Mezzanine, the Broadway podcast for the Broadway fans. Here we talk about all things Broadway news, Broadway grosses, and let's just be honest here, this is a safe space to talk about the tea and the gossip that happens week to week in the Broadway stratosphere. And today I literally am bringing you a news story that is completely unofficial, and it is all purely based on rumors happening right now, swirling in the Broadway stratosphere. Oh, and I am your host, Lindsey Stone. Thank you so much for joining me on From the Mezzanine. I should have worn what I am currently wearing last week when I was talking about the Wicked trailer, but it's getting a little cooler in New York. It's that fall feeling. So I whipped out my Wicked sweats from last season that I literally lived in all last fall and winter, and I am super excited. It's not a news story, but they revealed all of the Wicked collabs this season, and I'm like trying to think if there's anything that stood out a ton to me. The Awallas are cute. I love the American Girl dolls, but what I'm really excited about is the apparel, and I feel like the collabs that they released were more like kitchen items, like the Cuisinart, or it probably wasn't Cuisinart, it was probably like Le Creuset, bulls and things, and like that is not probably what I will be buying. I did see somebody, it might have been Queen of Sparkles, has these cardigans coming out that are so beautiful. I feel like they're really expensive just because of the detail and how intricate the designs of these cardigans were. Why don't I look it up right now? Because now I'm just curious, because I can't wait I bought things mainly from the Target Wicked collab last season. So that's what I'll be looking forward to again this season. Let's look it up. It was called, was it Queen of Sparkle? Yes. Oh my gosh, wait. I think it was Queen of Sparkle. And it looks like the prices start at like $115. But wow. Oh my gosh. These items are so cute. They have shorts. They have sweatshirts. Oh my gosh. This Elphaba pink and green color blocked Glinda Elphaba cardigan is to die for. Holy cow. That is so beautiful. I will not be spending $200 on a Wicked cardigan. I'm sorry. It's just not in the budget, but I'm obsessed with these. Oh my gosh. I love the pink and lavender Wicked button down. Cute, 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 cute. So yes, I'm looking forward to all the collabs that are coming out. And I kind of had like a realization this past week, like after Wicked for Good comes out, this chapter is closed, right? Like, this has been so much fun since I started From the Mezzanine. I feel like we've been talking about the Wicked movie. And this has just been so much fun. Thank God it was good. Thank goodness that it was actually a good movie. And this has just been so fun that the whole world is realizing how amazing Wicked is and everybody is loving it. And For Good is going to be hopefully actually Oscar winning. It didn't win hardly anything other than costume design, and hopefully they were just holding out for Good, which I think will be better than the first one. At least critically, I think it will be better. Like I think they're going to give Cynthia and Ariana the awards because this is just such a movement. And also part 2 is a lot more deep, and I think that's what the Oscars are going to want. So yes, but I am going to be sad. I'm going to have like post-Wicked depression whenever this is all over because it's just been so fun to live in a pink and green world. Anyways, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just enjoy it while we still can, right? But I am eager, and maybe I'll report some weeks on like some of the new Wicked releases because like this one, it was more of like the big ticket brands, I feel, but there are going to be some more affordable collaborations from like Ari had really cute ones last year. Trying to think what else I really liked. I really just loved the Target collab. So anyways, yeah, looking forward to it. I need to tell Broadway Besties what I did earlier this week. I was super excited to get to go to a screening of Satisfied, the documentary about Renee Elise Goldsberry, and it's truly about her journey starting in Hamilton and how it progressed throughout the end of Hamilton. It's really about that chunk of her life of coming into the role of Angelica. Hello, ambulance. I'm trying to record a podcast. The sights and sounds of New York City, everyone. Hope you enjoy it. Anyways, I was curious if it was going to be more of like her entire life, how she got to the point where she is now, or if it was going to like centralized be focused on Hamilton. And it definitely was focused on Hamilton with a minute second of a mention of Girls 5 Eva there at the very, very end in the end credits. But I'm so happy they included that because the entire time I was like, I love her in Hamilton, of course. But wow, Wiki Roy in Girls 5 Eva, what she did with that role, I love her. Not more, but so much too, as Wiki Roy in Girls 5 Eva, the best TV show to ever exist. But I would say, potentially even more than the focus of Hamilton in this documentary, the primary focus was her family. And she has a beautiful family. She has a son and a daughter and an amazing husband who is my favorite side character in this documentary. Alexis is his name. What a gem. Wow, he is an amazing person and just an amazing father and supporter of Renee Elise Goldsberry, this incredible mother who is like flourishing in her career and being a mom. But it was a very, very emotional documentary. I knew I would be emotional just for the fact that I just adore her so much, but I had no idea how hard her journey to motherhood was. And I don't want to give too much away because I definitely think you guys should watch the documentary. But I do want to say she struggles with miscarrying children. And the craziest thing, oh gosh, I'm going to get emotional. The craziest thing that I will tell you guys, because I think it was just the most shocking moment of the documentary that I don't know if anybody knew prior to this documentary's release. So Renee did not know Lin-Manuel Miranda very well before she joined Hamilton. She joined Hamilton. She fell in love with Angelica. She gave this character her all, but she always kind of felt like, I'm going to get replaced by one of Lin's friends whenever this goes to Broadway. And she was feeling like maybe there were conversations happening behind her back that she wasn't privy to. And she really thought she was getting replaced all throughout their run at the Public. It was this wild success. It extended 3 times. And then they announced the Broadway transfer. And she was like one of the last to be told she was going to take the role of Angelica to Broadway. And she had been with Hamilton for so long. But there had been 3 other Angelicas prior to Renee joining the cast. She was Angelica in a workshop, and then she was Angelica at the Public, and then of course we know she was Angelica in Hamilton, but she just hadn't been with a production since its inception, and she knew that there was like a threat there to her securing this role on Broadway. Well, she finally was told by Lin, very, very close to, I guess, like the finish line of everybody needs to know if they're cast. She was like one of the last to know, it seemed, that she was going to come to Broadway as Angelica, and she was so excited. And keep in mind, she had struggled to have a child. And at this point, they had their one son, but they wanted more children. And she was told she had the role. And then she found out she was pregnant. Between the Public and Hamilton, she found out that she was pregnant. And of course, I'm sitting there in the audience and I'm shocked because I'm like, I know she only has one child. Well, one biological child. And I was like, I know that she miscarries this child. And that's what happened. She knew if she was going to, or of course she was going to have this child, that she would have to give up Angelica. So it was like a couple days before she was going to have to go to Jeffrey Seller, the producer, and tell him, I can't be Angelica because I'm pregnant, and Angelica can't be pregnant in Hamilton. And it was right before she had that conversation that she lost her child. So sad, but she said that was the only miscarriage that she said, this is okay because now I get to go be Angelica. Wow. It's just so, so heartbreaking. But I just was in awe of the strength of Renee. She is such an amazing mother. And the fact that she was actually the only mother in the cast of Hamilton. So she was really alone in the fact that like Hamilton was not just a regular show to come to Broadway, as we all know, right? The press was crazy. Renee was having to do all these talk shows, all of these other engagements, of course, the Hamilton mixtape and all of the other little ventures that Hamilton had to capitalize on their success, right? She was so overly involved, and she had young children at home. So they did adopt a daughter after that. So she has 2 kids, and it just was, it was so emotional. And oh my gosh, I was just so captivated by her story, and I just think she deserves all the flowers in the world for being the icon she is. And then of course also like to do this documentary, like that's another undertaking, and she's just so incredible and such like somebody that women should look up to. She's so amazing, and I love her. And also it was really cool because after the documentary, she came out and she did a talk back with Kelly O'Hara. And so they talked more in depth about what it's like to be on Broadway as a mother, how to support your family while you're also supporting your career. And I thought Renee said something really interesting. She said, because somebody asked this question, Kaisha Creative actually, shout out, amazing influencer, y'all should follow her. She stood up and she was asking, I'm 35. People tell me that, I should be having a family by now, but I'm so focused on my career. Like, I'm busy. I don't have time for that. And Renee said, every time I had a kid, I got a contract right after. Like, kids bring miracles. Is that what she said? Kids bring miracles? Kids bring blessings. That's what she said. And I was like, wow, that's really beautiful. Like, women, we never feel like it's going to be like the right time, but whatever is that time when it happens, it's like the kid will bring a blessing. I thought it was just really sweet, an amazing documentary. She goes back to her home in Houston, shout out fellow Texas girl, and she meets with her high school theater director, or I think it was just her childhood theater director, and that was super cool to kind of see where she came from and see all of these young childhood videos of her performing the star that she is, and her high school theater director was just so enamored with her, and she was like, what was it in me? And he was like, what isn't it about you? You're so magnetic, and she's just such a star. I loved this documentary. It was really cool because there were all of these videos. Renee documented her journey with Hamilton, and she said in the talkback, she was like, I always created this content and then didn't post it anywhere. I'm like a content creator for like no one. I just have all these videos in my phone. And she really does. She has a ton of videos where she's like leaving the stage door. She like told this one story to her phone. Like, this has never seen an audience. So it's just kind of funny to think that these videos have been sitting in her camera roll, but she like was telling this story on like recording herself selfie mode on her iPhone, and she was like, I just left Hamilton, and this taxi driver, he saw me and he sped past me, and he went and picked up this rich white couple that was standing outside of Hamilton. I ran after his taxi cab, I banged on his window, and I said, you saw me, you should have picked me up, but you went around me, that's discrimination. And she was like, I can't even get a taxi after my own show. So it's just like crazy stories like that, because her life was and is so wild. Like, in terms of, she was a successful Broadway performer. She had been in The Color Purple, she had been on The Lion King, but nothing ever could compare to the wildness of Hamilton. And then they talk about like the ham for hams and doing all of that for the massive crowds that would come outside of the Hamilton stage door and not even have a ticket, just be there to be close to Hamilton. Like, nothing in the last, probably since Rent, nothing can compare to the absolute chaos that Hamilton created and excitement. And just to hear her very authentic, real story, not only about Hamilton, but what was happening behind the scenes in her life, was astonishing. I loved the documentary. I felt really, really grateful to be there for the talk back after the documentary with Renee Elise Goldsberry and Kelly O'Hara, who was a producer actually. Also, Audra McDonald is a producer of this documentary. The amazing women backing this documentary. I really, really hope that it's a success, because I thought it was really great. I hope Disney Plus picks it up so people can just go and watch it there. But I assume it will be like for rent on Amazon Prime or something like that. So you guys, y'all gotta watch it. It was great, and she's just such a titan, and I love her. Okay, I really wanted to tell you all about Satisfied. Glad we could check that off. Let's head on into our Broadway grosses. This is for the week ending on September 28th. And our top grossing show, it should be no surprise, it is that time. It is Hamilton, grossing $3.7 million. Wow. Wicked is 2, and Art, you guys, Art is back on top. They are number 3. Wow. 3 of our top 5 are newcomers. Art is 3, Mamma Mia is 4, and Waiting for Godot is 5. We will be talking about Waiting for Godot in our review roundup today. But holy cow, 3 newcomers. That is insane for our top 5. Art grossed $1.6 million. Mamma Mia also grossed $1.6, and so did Waiting for Godot. They all have over 100% capacity. I'm stunned. Should I be? Probably not. Like, I guess Waiting for Godot has a ton of excitement considering the fact that Keanu Reeves is in it. But I just am surprised that Art is doing as well as it is. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Lion King is number 6. I don't know if I've ever said that on From the Mezzanine. I don't know if they've ever been that low. Oh, Mary is number 7. Wow, grossing 1.3 with the Queen, Jinx Monsoon in. Just in Time is number 8. Death Becomes Her is 9, and Maybe Happy Ending is still doing really, really well at number 10. I'm so shook. We have a huge decrease in capacity between Maybe Happy Ending and Hell's Kitchen, our 10 and 11. Hell's Kitchen had 83% capacity, whereas Maybe Happy Ending had 96% capacity. That is a big distinction right there. And then I'm just looking at some of our other capacities. I want to note Harry Potter and the Cursed Child had 77% capacity last week. Another low capacity, you guys, Great Gatsby had 69% capacity. Same for Stranger Things, also 69% capacity. Geez, 6 the Musical, 62% capacity, and Chicago, 55% capacity. Next week, we need to anticipate Ragtime just opened in previews. This is accounting for the week of their first opening. So this only has 3 performances in the weekly Broadway grosses. So next week, when they have a full grosses, I'll be very interested to see where they land. Will they be in the top 10? I don't know. I feel like we haven't had a successful show at the Vivian Beaumont Theater in a while. And I don't know why that is, because I love the fact that it's not in Times Square. I love going to the Lincoln Center to see a show. Our lowest grossing show, as always, is Jeff Ross Take a Banana for the Ride. Can't even believe that's still running. Punch is also really low, but they are still in previews as of this grosses. Next week, hopefully it bumps up. They're also in a teeny tiny theater, though, that Samuel J. Friedman Theater. Our lowest grossing musical is still 6 the Musical. Let's head on in to our Broadway news, everybody. Broadway Besties, we received some very exciting news. Schmigadoon is headed to Broadway. I did not see this flim-flam coming at all, but I am so excited about it because I didn't get to see it at the Kennedy Center, and then the Kennedy Center went kaput, and I'm definitely not going now, and wow, it's coming to Broadway. So now I don't have to feel bad about the fact that I didn't see it at the Kennedy Center. Schmigadoon is, of course, based on the TV show that was on Apple that unfortunately got canceled after 2 seasons. And Schmigadoon is the first season. The second season was Schmicago, right? It was so good. I loved the second season. I actually never watched the first season and still haven't, which is kind of why I never went to go see it at the Kennedy Center. But I'm excited about this because I love the concept. I love who they casted in the Kennedy Center run. They had Alex Brightman, Ryan Vasquez, McKenzie Kurtz, Sarah Chase, Javier Munoz. It was dynamite. I want to see this cast on Broadway all together. And now, hopefully, we're going to. Ryan Vasquez is not in anything else. McKenzie Kurtz is of course killing it as Heather Chandler. I don't want her to leave Heather's, please don't, but I couldn't blame her because this is on Broadway. So I could see her wanting to depart from Heather's and move over here. We also don't know that Heather's will still be running by the time Schmigadoon comes. I would assume that it is. I wish we got Broadway grosses for off-Broadway shows so bad. The only way I think you can do that is to just look at like how many seats are available at showtime to get an idea for how things are selling, which honestly I would be curious enough to do for Heather's because I need to have a pulse on how successful it is. Although I think it's super successful because I can't ever get lottery tickets. So there's that. Here are the facts of the matter, guys. Schmigadoon will be coming to the Nederlander Theater, so I guess it's after Jeff Ross takes a banana for the ride. Is there something that's going to be coming in between? I don't know. Nederlander's a little cursed, but this is going to be a limited engagement. They already have an end date in sight. So the run is going to begin on April 4th. The opening night is set for April 20th, and performances are going to continue through September 6th. So all the way through the end of spring and summer, and here they come. They will be closing in September, which is kind of a bad time to come to Broadway. Things get really quiet after the Tonys. But of course, if they're coming in April, they will be literally coming in the nick of time to be considered for Tony Awards. And I don't know what to expect with Schmigadoon because it just feels like so Smash-like. And I hesitate to say that because I don't want it to have the same curse that Smash did. But here's the deal. It's an easy comparison, right? Smash is based off of a TV show that primarily only theater people watched. And they loved it, and then it became a Broadway show. That seems like a formula that should work, considering the fact that theater people are going to watch the TV show. Of course, theater people are going to come and see it on Broadway. It seems like it should work, but I think you're so sectioned off when you do that because you're just catering towards the musical theater demographic when you come to Broadway rather than tourists, rather than like a greater population. The only recognizable IP you truly have is that TV show that you had once upon a time, your canceled TV show that ended in failure. And now you're going to come to Broadway. It seems like a bit of a challenge, but the fact that they already have an end date in sight, this is a limited engagement. I think they might have learned their lesson from what happened to Smash, and I think we can make this work because of the cast that they had at the Kennedy Center that was so good. If they get Ryan Vasquez, if they get McKenzie Kurtz, if they get Alex Brightman, we will be in for a prosperous run. If we don't, I am worried. I also want to say I would not be mad if we had Keegan-Michael Key in the musical. That would be amazing. Of course, he was originally in the show, and then Alex Brightman replaced him. So, like, this has promise. I do have hope, but at the same time, I am a little worried. I have to admit, casting is yet to be announced. I'm sure it's coming soon. But we do have some time. Like I said, the run begins April 4th, so they might be a little hesitant to announce things so soon. But I will say what I am really excited for is the creative team behind Schmigadoon, because it sounded like whenever Schmigadoon was canceled, they were devastated because they already had season 3 written. How horrible that all of that hard work, it just gets canceled, and that's that. And then they announced the Kennedy Center run, and I was like, yay, we finally have closure, and now it's coming to Broadway. I'm like, yes, good for them. I love this. I hope that it is a success. They said in a statement, quote, Schmigadoon is a love letter to the golden age of movie musicals. It's a little bit nostalgic and a lot of fun, and we're very excited to bring it to Broadway. Yeah. I'm excited. I am really, really excited. In terms of like this coming season, I feel like there's been room, right? Like I haven't felt like, oh my gosh, we're overwhelmed. There's too much happening. I feel like we're still gearing up for a few more announcements for this season. I'm really excited about Queen of Versailles. I'm obviously on the edge of my seat for Chess, but now I'm super pumped that I get to add Schmigadoon to the list of my upcoming exciting musicals that I can't wait to go and see. Our next news story, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit of a rumor that I have seen swirling. That is not just a rumor. It's a little bit legitimate. I feel like there's some credibility to it. And it is that something is happening with Disney Theatrics. Is it the Greatest Showman workshop? Or is it something entirely different that we haven't heard about coming to Broadway potentially? Is it Tangled? Now, I'm leaning towards Tangled because of who we know is participating in this workshop. What if I told you McKenzie Kurtz, Jessica Vosk, and Ryan McCarten are all working on something together with Disney Theatrics? What if I told you all signs are pointing towards McKenzie Kurtz could be our Rapunzel, Jessica Vosk could be Mother Gothel, and Ryan McCarten could be Flynn Rider? What if I told you that? I am excited. And I rarely am very excited for Disney shows, but that is a formula that I can work with. Now, there is potential that this could be a workshop for Greatest Showman, which I definitely don't see as easily. Ryan McCarten is P.T. Barnum. McKenzie Kurtz is the mom. Jessica Vosk is like the operatic singer. I don't see that. I doubt that. But for some reason, I really think it's Tangled. And that's what a lot of people are hypothesizing. And I think it's probable because the casting is just like perfectly dynamite. And we know that Disney was casting for a live action remake of Tangled. And I think that's why we're assuming also it may be coming to Broadway. I haven't seen anything about them developing it for Broadway. I'm sure they've said that they have considered it, but I haven't seen anything to the effects of like Greatest Showman. We know when it's coming and we know that it is coming and that they're working towards it. I haven't seen the same energy towards Tangled, but I just really think it's Tangled. And I need it to be Tangled because I actually love that. I don't love Ryan McCarten as Flynn Rider, but I like it enough that I can get on board. But I love the idea of Jessica Vosk being an evil Mother Gothel. Ah! And just imagine the set, you guys. Rapunzel's tower, the big green cliffs, the Queen's castle, the lanterns, the kayak. It's not a kayak, the boat, the canoe, whatever they're in when they send up the lanterns. Imagine McKenzie Kurtz singing all those days watching from the window. I love it. I really hope I'm not spewing fake news to the Broadway Besties, but keep in mind I very well may. This could all be for naught. But I hope that it's legitimate. What we've seen online, and they have really been teasing us. McKenzie Kurtz made a TikTok this past week with Jessica Vosk and said, it was like that quote from The Office where she's like, "Do you want to form an alliance with me?" Absolutely, I do. And in the caption, she said, quote, "Me because Jessica Vosk and I finally get to work together." Okay. Now that doesn't allude to Disney, but they have all three of them have posted about it being a Disney project, posted together, or posted like a photo of their binder that says Disney Theatrics. They're all teasing us. And I think we're right. I think it's Tangled. And I really hope it is. And I don't know how McKenzie Kurtz does it. How do you have time to be in Heather's, to do a Disney Theatrics project, and to date Brent Comer? How do you do it, Queen? We're all in all of you. You're amazing. Yeah, I'm here for it, and I love it. Our next news story is a bit of a 3-for-1 review roundup, everyone. So I want you to stay on board with me because this might be a little all over the place. But what's new? Let's be honest. We are going to be ingesting the reviews for Masquerade, the Phantom of the Opera event, ? That's happening off Broadway. Punch, which I reviewed last week, but now we got the critical reviews in, and Waiting for Godot. That is what we are going to recap. We're going to take a look at all of these reviews because honestly, I don't like to dive into critical reviews too much because I can review the shows myself. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when there's not much Broadway news and on From the Mezzanine, we're literally just talking about rumors. Sometimes there is space to look at the critical reviews. So that is what we're doing. First up, let's take a look at Masquerade. So this actually got critically reviewed. I was kind of surprised to see that considering it's not a typical Broadway, off-Broadway show. It's more of an immersive experience. So I thought it was really interesting that they sent all the theater critics to go and review this. But it also makes sense because it is a theatrical production, but it's just so different, right? Well, most of the reviews were good. You'll know I use Broadway World's review Roundup to take a look at the reviews, and they work on like a bad, mid, good review system. It's like thumbs up, middle, or down. And then they also provide a percentage of like 100% means it was 100% good reviews, 0% means 100% bad reviews, right? So Masquerade got, for the most part, good reviews, 7 good reviews, 5 mid reviews, and their percentage ranking was 76%. That's actually really good. And I want to read what one of the reviews said. This was a good review from Johnny Olinsky from the New York Post. He said, quote, "A few smart and artful additions raise Masquerade to something far greater than a jolly tourist attraction. Paulus, when she's firing on all cylinders, knows how to fuse the commercial with the profound," quote. So I want to say, in a lot of the reviews for Masquerade, I feel like they were comparing it to an amusement park, and even more so an amusement park line or ride, because you're kind of just being carted from room to room. And a lot of them did make the comparison to like a tourist attraction, but it seems as though they all really loved it. For the most part, some were more critical, like the New York Times review was pretty shady, saying like at the end there wasn't a dry eye in the house, but mine were completely dry, but everybody was like crying for the Phantom. And she said something to the effects of like, "I'm so sick of wondering why the bad guy makes the bad decisions he does." And that's kind of how I feel like I would be if I went to see Masquerade, because I have not seen it yet, but I still do desperately want to see it. And I do love like an immersive event. So I feel like I could kind of get down with it. I do think I would like it, but I also think that I'm not the crazy Phantom girl, you know? I don't like love the music. I don't love the story. I definitely didn't enjoy it too much when I saw it on Broadway. And so I feel like if I could take it for like the entertainment factor, I would enjoy it, if that makes sense. So that's Masquerade. Next up, let's talk about Punch. Last week, I gave this a rave review. I absolutely loved it. But the theater critics, they enjoyed it. It was good. It was more so good reviews. They got 7 good reviews, 8 middle reviews, and 1 bad review. And their overall ranking was 72%. And I want to read this review from Emmeline Travis with Entertainment Weekly. She gave a good review that I support, I think. She says, quote, "Still, Punch's moving message about the true power of connection and understanding in the wake of an unthinkable tragedy is one that is desperately needed these days. Grade B," quote. I guess even though she didn't give it an A, it's still technically a good review. And I feel like that was like a nice statement. From what I saw, a lot of the critics felt somewhat negatively towards Punch for one reason or another. The New York Times review did say that they felt like it entirely focuses on Jacob, the man who throws that one punch, so much to the point where it's almost forgetting about James and the person who died in this scenario. And it kind of ends in a happy way, somewhat speaking to the fact that like all James's parents needed was to meet Jacob and they would be okay. I do not think that was the message. That's not what I walked away with. I thought that they just needed, they found a little bit of peace in knowing that though James passed, Jacob, it wasn't all for naught. Jacob turned into a great man, a great advocate, and honors James's memory in an amazing way. And I think that's what came across, but it is being criticized for focusing entirely on Jacob and his emotions rather than the parents' emotions in this traumatic situation. But I didn't feel that. I still think it was an amazing play, and I stand by what I said last week. Lastly, you guys, we're going to talk about Waiting for Godot. So I actually had to research Waiting for Godot because we have not talked about it on the podcast yet. I didn't know what it was about. It's literally, I don't want to like minimize the plot, but I didn't read the play. I just read a synopsis, and it sounds like there's these 2 main characters who are waiting for this figure, Godot, and they wait for him for days, and they're discussing their life, and it's kind of existential. And that's the impression that I got. I don't know too much about it. I feel like it's a really deep play that I would kind of have to watch to find out. However, I don't know if I'm going to make it that far because, one, tickets are expensive. We all saw those grosses earlier. It's going to be a tough ticket to get. And two, is it my style? It is a Jamie Lloyd production. So that's hard for me in and of itself. But also, it seems like a really introspective play. It was written in the 1940s, and it just might be a little too deep and not flashy enough for me. I just don't feel like it's my taste, and we keep doing this on Broadway with Othello, with Good Night and Good Luck. Just feel like we have these very, like, my vibe plays. But then we have things like All Nighter and John Proctor as the villain, so it's all okay. It all evens out. There's something for everyone on Broadway, but I don't think this is specifically for me. But I will say it did get good-ish reviews. I think this is funny. They got 17 mid reviews and they got 6 good reviews, and their percentage rating was 67%. But what's funny is literally Punch had about 15 critics review it. Waiting for Godot had about 25. It's just like whenever something is super buzzy, of course, every single critic is going to come out for it. Whereas something like Punch, which is a lot more understated, doesn't have any A-list stars in it. Not as many critics are going to come and see it, probably because their publication doesn't care about it as much, even though it's also a Broadway play. I just was surprised by that. I'm also going to read Johnny Olinsky's review from the New York Post. It's kind of long, so buckle in, but I feel like it gives a lot of color. And since I haven't talked much about Waiting for Godot, I think we could appreciate getting a little bit more color on what this play is. So Johnny Olinsky says, quote, "Acting aside, this is one of Lloyd's better dramatic efforts. He boldly does away with the typical Godot aesthetic of gray emptiness and an ominous tree in the back. Instead, designer Sautra Gilmore's set is a bright, giant wooden cylinder that looks like something Timothée Chalamet might pilot in Dune. There are none of Lloyd's usual screens or alfresco adventures either. Unlike what the director did with Jessica Chastain's A Doll's House, he generally allows Reeves and Winter to actually walk around. But cool scenery doesn't go very far when one of the actors on it simply cannot handle Beckett." Ooh, I don't know which actor he's talking about. I don't know the other guy who's in this show, to be quite honest. I only know that Keanu Reeves is in it. But dang, that actually was kind of like scathing. And this is only like a middle review. That wasn't even a bad review. It didn't get any bad reviews. It got primarily all middle of the road reviews, which I feel like has been our trend lately of these A-list actors in shows, other than Othello that got really bad reviews. But like, it's just kind of like, feels like it's capitalizing on their celebrity rather than the quality of the play itself. That was a really entertainingly written review, though. Don't you agree? Like, I love, like, the alignment to Dune and also the alfresco adventure. That's hysterical. I gotta start using that. Yeah, it didn't make me excited to go and see Waiting for Godot. Also, I'm pretty sure they, like, pronounce it, like, Waiting for Godot. Godot? Waiting for Godot? Sounds like something that would be in, like, an Ice Spice rap. But that is our review roundup. All kind of like lukewarm reviews. Nothing is rave, which is unfortunate. I think Punch should have been rave, but whatever. What do I know? All I know is I loved it, and I think the Broadway Besties would love Punch too. I do want to see Masquerade eventually. They keep extending and releasing more tickets, so maybe one day I'll be able to snatch a ticket up. But for now, I'm just waiting. Call me Godot, because I'm waiting. Okay, Broadway Besties, that has been this episode of From the Mezzanine. Thank you so much for listening. If you want a little bit more From the Mezzanine, you can join the Patreon, become my personal Broadway Bestie for $5.99 a month, where you will get a bonus episode called Meet Me at the Stage Door, where we just talk a little bit more in depth about some of the Broadway news stories that were overlooked for this week. I tell you who my Broadway boyfriend is, yada, yada, yada. You know, which is just another moment for me to talk and hear from the Broadway Besties a little more too. So you can join me over there. You can also unlock access to all of the Meet Me at the Stage doors if you're listening on Spotify as well for $5.99 a month too. You can find all things From the Mezzanine at FromTheMezzanine.com, and please also follow me on Instagram and TikTok wherever you're listening. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next Tuesday.